Hello and welcome to SuMo Cooks. Today's recipe is orange cake. This really turned out wonderful and I really hope you give this a try. So let's get into it. To start with, I'm going to zest about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of orange zest. First I used this zester and then I switched over to my microplane, and I like the microplane better. So in some flour, I toss in some baking soda, some baking powder, some salt, and I'm going to just stir this together, combine my ingredients, and in my mixing bowl I've got some melted butter, to which I'll add cream cheese. Now we're going to beat this together. And there's going to be a point while you beat this, it's going to look really broken and it's not going to look like it's coming together, but you just have to let it go and it'll combine, it'll look like this. So at this point, when our cream cheese and our butter has creamed, we're going to add our sugar. I put in the sugar, I'm going to lower down my paddle, and we're going to beat this some more. We're going to mix it until our sugar has combined. I decided to beat a little more, and to this I'm going to add 3 eggs, but 1 at a time. So I'll put in the first one, mix it a little bit, add the second, so on and so forth. Now that it's beaten, I'm going to wipe down the bowl, scrape down the sides because that doesn't really like to incorporate well, and I'll add vanilla at this point. Now for a special ingredient, I'm going to put in some yogurt, and the yogurt is to really help this cake keep its moistness and not dry out as it bakes. So once this has combined, we're going to go over to a separate bowl or a measuring cup like I'm using here. I've got some orange juice in there, and then I poured in milk to essentially make buttermilk. And I'm going to put that into my wet ingredients in this mixing bowl, mix that well, and now it's time for the orange zest. So that's about 2 tablespoons of orange zest. You can put as much or as little as you like. I wanted a very strong orange flavor, so I went with that. And once that's incorporated, I'm going to put in the dry ingredients here. And we're going to do this a little at a time. You don't want to put it all in. It becomes a little more difficult for the mixer to do its job, and you get flour everywhere. So just incorporate it slowly and let it mix in between your incorporations. We're going to give this one last good mix. And then when it's done, I'm going to make sure I scrape that paddle because some of the zest is going to get stuck on there. Totally normal. Just make sure you mix it in well. Here I've got a bundt pan, which I have buttered very generously, and I will also flour this very generously because I want a very clean removal. So just take your time, get that butter and flour, and then let's pour in our batter. Evenly distribute the batter, right? Work it a little bit, and then we're going to stick it in the oven, let it bake, and it's going to collapse just a little bit. Don't be alarmed. Totally normal. We're going to let this cool, and I let mine cool for like 20 minutes because I really wanted that clean removal. While that's cooling, I got to working on my glaze. So this really was like a trial and error thing for me. I started out with some powdered sugar, and then I used orange juice, and I kept going with it until I got the consistency I wanted. And while that was happening, my cake cooled, and as you can see, I got a perfect removal. Now as I apply this glaze, you can see that it was way too runny and it absorbed completely into the cake. So I went back and I added a lot more powdered sugar to that mixture until I got a very thick consistency, which I put into a piping bag to get these nice lines. And that's how I decided to finish it off. And then I had some leftover orange zest, and I just sprinkled that on top for some extra fancy decor. And there you have it, your perfect, moist, delicious orange cake. So a few things we learned in this bake. Yogurt and cream cheese are a must. It really makes the cake moist and it gives it another depth of flavor. It makes it rich. And this turned out so spectacular. It was way better than I expected it to be. And this did not last very long. It had a very rich orange flavor. It came through very well. It could have used more orange zest if you wanted it more orangey. There was that much room in there. But overall, I think this was really, really successful. And I hope you try this out. Please let us know what you think, and thanks so much for watching.